one last fight.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and we are going to recap everything you need to know before watching Secret Invasion. This show is going to bring together the Earth and cosmic sides of the MCU. It is the culmination of dozens of hours of MCU storytelling, so in case you didn't have time to rewatch all that, we are here to explain it to you. And also, this recap is a great setup for the movie The Marvels. You guys ready to go? Let's do this. So, at the beginning of all creation, there was...
Wow, you really are starting at the beginning.
I am, because this is all very important. Trust me. When the universe was formed, the Big Bang created 6 powerful rocks called Infinity Stones that govern different aspects of the universe.
Space. Reality.
No time, you get the idea, you were there. Fast forward a few million years to the reign of the Kree Empire. The Kree are a race of alien warriors who conquer entire galaxies. They even arrive on prehistoric Earth to tamper with the DNA of early human beings to eventually create a race called the Inhumans. The Kree are led by the Supreme Intelligence. This is an artificial intelligence that is made up of the greatest minds of Kree civilization. And the Kree they're kind of like the British Empire, but in space. They conquer and colonize other worlds while also fighting other empires like the Xandarians and the Skrulls. Now the Skrulls are a race of shapeshifting aliens. Now the way their power works is that they have to see someone to copy them, and afterwards they retain only the most recent memories of that person. Also, when they die, they automatically become Skrulls again. The Kree absolutely devastate the Skrulls in this war, driving them to the point of becoming refugees on the verge of extinction. So now let's shift gears to Earth, where World War II is in full swing. A German scientist named Erskine has developed a way to turn regular human beings into super soldiers, but his first experiment, Johann Schmidt, turned into a monstrous Red Skull. The Red Skull leads a Nazi science division called Hydra, and he wants to gain ultimate power. So he finds the Infinity Stone which governs space, which is nicknamed the Tesseract. The Red Skull and his chief scientist, Arnim Zola, begin using the Tesseract to create super weapons that will help their Nazi faction, Hydra, to conquer the Earth. Meanwhile, Erskine has defected to America and turns a scrawny kid from Brooklyn named Steve Rogers into Captain America. Captain America has a real cool shield made out of vibranium built by the scientist Howard Stark. Steve fights Hydra, loses his best friend Bucky, and then he defeats the Red Skull but crashes his ship into the Arctic, where he is presumed dead. Howard Stark recovers the Tesseract, but not Steve's ship. And then Stark, Peggy Carter, and Tommy Lee Jones found the spy agency S.H.I.E.L.D., which I always kind of thought was a tribute to Steve Rogers and his shield.
Oh hey, what are you drinking there?
This is how I keep my energy up. This is my daily dietary supplement called AG1. They're the sponsor of this video. So I've been drinking AG1 for about a year, and it's made a big difference in my day-to-day life. And it has all the vitamins and minerals that I need throughout the entire day. So for me, I use it for 2 things. One, it gives me energy. But this isn't like a caffeine rush. It's a sustained energy throughout the entire day, which helps me stay more focused. I get more done, I finish work on time, and I just feel better.
Or what's the second thing you use it for?
Exercise. So for workout recovery, this is the best nutritional drink I have ever used. I recover faster, and the high magnesium cuts down on muscle soreness.
Does it taste nice?
Sure does, but more importantly, it's a nutritional plant-based drink with 75 different ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. And it's also very easy to use. You have 1 scoop and 8 ounces of water. You got your immune-supporting D3 plus K2, and then you just have to shake. And that's it, you're ready to drink. Plus, I have tons of travel packs, which is so important because if you travel, you want to keep this as part of your daily routine.
Say, that is easy.
Right? So, if you sign up with our link in the description, you get a free 1-year supply of the immune-supporting vitamin D3 plus K2, plus 5 travel packs with your first purchase. Just click the link in the description to get started on your first purchase of AG1. Now back to what I was saying. Fast forward to the 1980s when the Kree sent a scientist named Mar-Vell to infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D. so she can get close to the Tesseract.
Why?
Because the Tesseract's power allows you to basically teleport, so they want to harness its energy to create a new ship that can travel further than any ship ever created. But Mar-Vell has secretly betrayed the Kree. You see, the Kree are still telling people that the Skrulls are like a huge threat, but in reality, the Skrulls are beaten, and the Kree are hunting them into extinction. Mar-Vell wants to create a ship that will allow the Skrulls to find a new homeworld where they can be safe from the Kree. Now, while she's undercover, she befriends 2 Air Force pilots, Maria Rambeau and Carol Danvers. Danvers is arrogant, brash, brave, and she loves GNR. During a test flight of Mar-Vell's new jet, Danvers is attacked by Kree ships. Now she crash lands and Mar-Vell dies in the crash. A Kree warrior named Yon-Rogg is about to kill Danvers when she detonates the Tesseract drive. Instead of killing her, it imbues Carol with powers, but she loses her memories. So Yon-Rogg tricks Danvers into joining the Kree under the name Veers. She becomes part of an elite group of warriors called the Star Force, who hunt down Skrull refugees all over the galaxy. And worst of all, Yon-Rogg becomes her abuser and her mentor.
There's nothing more dangerous to a warrior
and emotion.
While Veers is off on missions committing genocide on Earth, an arms dealer named Ulysses Claw has stolen vibranium from Wakanda. Now, Wakanda is an African nation that is secretly the most advanced nation in the world. They have an unlimited supply of vibranium, a mineral that can do anything that a screenplay requires. Claw actually stole the vibranium with the help of Prince Njobu, the brother of King T'Chaka, who is the Black Panther. The Black Panther is basically a ceremonial, superpowered being who protects his country. The Black Panther kills Prince Njobu, leaving behind his son, Eric, and Claw remains at large. Also, around this time, an assassin named the Winter Soldier kills Howard Stark and his wife Maria. Back to space, where a Skrull leader named Talos kidnaps Veers and taps into her memory to find out where Mar-Vell hid that super powerful ship. So this takes the Skrulls back to Earth, but then Carol breaks free and lands in a blockbuster video in the year 1995. There's a chase, a dead Skrull, and S.H.I.E.L.D. gets involved. Carol teams up with a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Nick Fury, and the two of them go to a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. installation to figure out what the heck is going on here. Fury realizes that his boss is a Skrull and he can't trust anybody, and then they also recover Mar-Vell's cat named Goose. But Goose is actually a Flurkin, an alien that can do this. So they steal an experimental ship and fly it to see Carol's old friend Maria, who now has a daughter named Monica. And then they meet Talos and the other Skrulls and discover that they're good guys. They find Mar-Vell's hidden ship and the Tesseract, and this ship is also filled with Skrull refugees. Then the Kree send a fleet to destroy Earth. This fleet is led by the Accusers, a group of elite Kree who are judge, jury, and executioners for their people, and they are led by Ronan the Accuser. So Veers is captured, meets the Supreme Intelligence, but then unlocks her full power and kicks the crap out of the Kree fleet and decides that Yon-Rogg isn't even worth her time.
I have nothing to prove to you.
So Danvers escorts the Skrulls into space to find a new home, and the Tesseract is still on Earth. And then Fury creates the Avengers Initiative, a plan to use people like Danvers to stop more alien invasions. Carol even leaves him with a special pager to call her for help.
For emergencies only.
Which was a good idea because alien invasions are coming. Fury becomes the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., only reporting to a shadowy world council. So when a god alien named Loki steals the Tesseract, Fury assembles some exceptional people.
There was an idea called the Avengers Initiative. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people to fight the battles that we never could.
Such as Howard Stark's son Tony, who is Iron Man, Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, Loki's brother Thor, and Steve Rogers, who, it turns out, was just frozen in ice for 70 years and is now fine, but very sad.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Fury's second-in-command, Maria Hill, is skeptical about the Avengers, but after some prodding, the team unites to repel the alien invaders and defeat Loki. Steve Rogers decides to join S.H.I.E.L.D. along with his fellow Avengers Clint Barton and Natasha Romanoff. S.H.I.E.L.D. continues to develop a contingency plan against threats, which they call Project Insight. It's basically 3 helicarriers who will wipe out any threats before they happen. Steve Rogers disagrees with Fury on this point.
This isn't freedom. This is fear.
And Fury suspects that S.H.I.E.L.D. is compromised. Then an assassin called the Winter Soldier almost kills Fury. Fury goes to Steve, says trust no one, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. tries to arrest Steve Rogers. He and Natasha go on the run, and they find out that Arnim Zola kept his mind alive on a computer and that Hydra was actually part of S.H.I.E.L.D. for decades, and it's about to take over the world using these big helicarriers.
What the hell is going on?
So Steve recruits the Falcon, he's a soldier who can fly, and then learns that the Winter Soldier is actually his old pal Bucky, who is now a brainwashed super soldier. Steve and friends take down Hydra and S.H.I.E.L.D. along with it, and Bucky remembers Steve at the last minute, but then goes on the run as Fury fakes his own death. So this makes the Avengers the world's #1 peacekeeping force, with Tony Stark even hiring Maria Hill. Actually, it's so she can keep an eye on the Avengers for Fury, but Tony doesn't know that. So the Avengers mop up a Hydra cell that was using the Mind Stone, that's one of the Infinity Stones, to create superhumans, such as Wanda Maximoff, who has really weird reality-distorting powers. Then Stark uses this alien tech to create an AI murder bot that uses Claw's stolen vibranium to nearly end the world, but he decimates Wanda's home country. A different team of Avengers forms that is younger and less experienced, and in one of their early missions, this inexperience shows. Wanda accidentally detonates a bomb inside of a building, killing lots of people. Afterwards, the world's governments decide to make superhumans register and work for the government. Tony Stark, feeling guilty over creating a murder bot, agrees, but Steve doesn't want to sign.
If we sign this, we surrender our right to choose.
Tony Stark is now reporting to the Secretary of State, former General Thunderbolt Ross, who has a history of superhumans hunting down the Hulk and creating the Abomination to put him in check. But then Steve's old pal Bucky is accused of detonating a bomb that killed the King of Wakanda. Bucky was actually framed by a man named Baron Zemo, who hates the Avengers for destroying his entire country. Zemo manipulates the Avengers into a full-blown civil war.
They're not stopping.
Neither are we.
But more importantly, he shows Tony that Bucky actually killed Howard Stark. Bucky was brainwashed, but it still counts. So this permanently breaks up the Avengers when Steve chooses Bucky over Tony, and Steve even gives up his shield. So Steve and a few of the Avengers go on the run, but Zemo is arrested and he's held in the custody of a CIA agent named Everett Ross.
You step out of line,
You deal with me.
So what's Thor and Hawk doing?
They're off being in the best movie in the MCU.
That's what. Because that's what heroes do.
Back in Wakanda, the new king T'Challa becomes the new Black Panther. He goes on a mission to find Ulysses Claw, that's the man who stole Wakanda's vibranium in the first place. On this mission, Everett Ross is shot, so T'Challa takes him to Wakanda to save his life. T'Challa's cousin, Eric Killmonger, is fully grown now, and he arrives with Claw's body and claims the throne. Killmonger wants to use Wakanda's technology to liberate African people all around the world, and he is stopped by T'Challa, his genius sister Shuri, and Everett Ross. Out in space, the Kree have just lost a 100-year-long war against the Xandarians. Now, one of the accusers, Ronan, does not agree with this peace treaty, so he goes rogue, killing people left and right.
He is slaughtering children,
including the wife and daughter of a man named Drax, a warrior who's also called Drax the Destroyer. And then Ronan teams up with Thanos. Thanos is a genocidal alien who believes that half of all life in the universe must be destroyed to preserve the resources for the other half. So for years, he has been trying to collect Infinity Stones to accomplish this goal. Thanos sends Ronan after the Power Stone, and, very long story short, Ronan almost destroys the Xandarian capital. But he is stopped by the Guardians of the Galaxy, a team of misfits including Star-Lord, a talking tree, a raccoon, Drax the Destroyer, and Gamora, who is the adopted daughter of Thanos.
We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
But Thanos is still out there looking for Infinity Stones. Currently, 3 Infinity Stones are on Earth, so he sends his people to attack there first. The heroes fight his forces, but because the Avengers are broken up, they're a disorganized mess. Tony and a few heroes meet up in space with the Guardians of the Galaxy, while Steve gathers his team of outlaws to protect the Mind Stone. And the Mind Stone is currently in the forehead of an android called the Vision, who was created by Tony Stark's murder bot, and the Vision is in a relationship with Wanda.
I just feel you.
So, Steve's forces go to Wakanda to fight off Thanos' army to protect the Vision. Meanwhile, Thanos beats the crap out of the other heroes in space, gets 5 of the stones, and then rips the final stone from Vision's forehead, giving him all 6 stones, and he snaps away half of all life in the universe.
Half? I was petrified, man.
Following the snap, there's a period of chaos. Fury is snapped away, but he's able to use Carol's pager and summon her at the last minute. Afterwards, the Avengers do reunite, with Carol saving Tony's life in space, but the team is still fractured.
Well, that didn't work out, did it?
I said we'd lose. You said,
We'll do that together, too. And guess what, Cap? We lost.
The Avengers find and kill Thanos, but it's after he destroyed the stones, so there is no reversing the snap. During the next 5 years, life on Earth does kind of get better. The environment improves, there's enough food for everybody, and an agency called S.W.O.R.D rises to take the place of S.H.I.E.L.D. Its director is Maria Rambeau, Carol's old friend, and her daughter Maria grows up to be an agent of S.W.O.R.D, but during the blip, Maria dies from cancer, very sad. Carol Danvers goes off to help other worlds in the universe, while Natasha tries to run security on Earth. But then, after 5 years, the Avengers reunite and work out a way to travel through time to find more Infinity Stones so they can reverse the snap. They succeed, bringing everyone back, but then Thanos arrives from the past and there is a huge fight between everyone, and it is still so awesome to watch. But this movie cost Natasha and Tony Stark their lives, and then Steve Rogers decides to retire, traveling back in time to live a full life with Peggy Carter. So now, he's too old to be Captain America, so he chooses his friend the Falcon, Sam Wilson, to be the new Captain America. So now the Avengers are still pretty much broken up, and everybody's figuring out how to best protect the world from more threats. A new hero named Mysterio teams up with Nick Fury and Spider-Man. Spider-Man, who was a protege of Tony Stark's, decides to give Mysterio these super special glasses to control Tony's old drones, but it turns out that Mysterio was just a con artist, not a real hero, and Spider-Man barely stops him and regains the glasses. Afterwards, it's revealed that Fury and Maria Hill were actually the Skrull Talos and his wife Soren. The two of them also have a daughter named Gaia, who we do see in Captain Marvel right here. Fury, it turns out, has been in space with the Skrulls for God knows how long.
Got my shoes!
Without the Avengers or S.H.I.E.L.D. to police the Earth, things kind of start to get out of hand as different agencies rush in to fill this vacuum. For instance, there's Damage Control. This agency was formed by Tony Stark to clean up after the super battles like the alien invasion in the Avengers. But after the blip, they've started to police superheroes, confiscating Stark drones and even arresting some guy named Peter Parker. Peter Parker, who the fuck is that? Wanda has just been brought back to life after 5 years, but to her, this is just moments after she experienced the death of the man she loves.
You could never hurt me. I just feel you.
So she goes to a S.W.O.R.D laboratory to see the Vision's remains and sees that they are disassembling him in accordance with his wishes. So then she goes to the place where she was going to build her dream house with him and loses control of her powers, creating a sitcom fantasy world out of the town of Westview. She subconsciously manipulates the people of Westview into furthering a sitcom storyline where she and the Vision are married and have twin sons who also have superpowers.
Whoa!
Now Wanda is partially being manipulated by a witch named Agatha Harkness.
It's been Agatha all along.
Agatha wants to steal Wanda's powers because she's secretly an ancient being called
The Scarlet Witch.
God, that show is good. Meanwhile, S.W.O.R.D sets up a perimeter around Westview, and director Tyler Hayward sets up a task force of MCU side characters including Jimmy Woo,
Can you knock?
Darcy,
But
I'm invested.
And a grown-up Monica Rambeau. Monica goes into the Hex, falls under Wanda's powers, then is kicked out and comes back and then gets powers of her own. Meanwhile, director Hayward has taken the Vision's body and powered it up with Wanda's energy, creating Mayonnaise Vision.
I request elaboration.
They're both super white. Anyways, Monica convinces Wanda to drop the Hex and let Vision and her sons disappear. But before that happens, fake Vision gives White Vision his memories. Now in the aftermath, Monica meets up with a fellow S.W.O.R.D agent who is actually a Skrull, who says,
I was sent by an old friend of your mother's.
So this is establishing that the Skrulls are working with the agency S.W.O.R.D. Now, remember how I said that Steve Rogers gave Sam Wilson his shield? Well, Sam is all reluctant to take on the mantle of Captain America because of America's complicated history with race relations. But his frenemy Bucky, who has been unbrainwashed by Shuri and Wakanda, is mad that Sam is not honoring Steve's wishes.
This isn't what Steve wanted.
So Sam donates the shield to the Smithsonian. He's all like,
thank you, Captain America, but this belongs to you.
But then the government goes behind his back and gives the shield to a new Captain America, John Walker, who has an eminently punchable face. Walker, Sam, and Bucky are all after a group of terrorists called the Flag Smashers, who want to dissolve all nations, create a world that's open borders, the way it was during the blip. The Flag Smashers have also gotten a hold of some super soldier serum. While searching for the source of this serum, Sam learns about another black man who was a super soldier in the 1950s. This guy is named Isaiah Bradley, but Bradley is very cynical about a black man's chances of ever becoming Captain America.
They will never let a black man be Captain America.
So Sam and Bucky free Zemo from prison to help them hunt down a doctor who has replicated Erskine's super soldier formula. Zemo really hates superhumans.
The desire to become a superhuman cannot be separated from supremacist ideals.
Also, he gets to do this. Freeing Zemo puts them in the sights of Wakanda's secret police, the Dora Milaje. They want Zemo to serve his time in prison because he murdered King T'Chaka. The Dora also take down John Walker and literally dismantle Bucky. So some of the super soldier formula gets loose and Walker takes his own injection, becoming a super soldier himself. After a Flag Smasher killed his best friend, he uses the shield to murder a man in cold blood. So Sam decides that he's the one who should be Captain America after all. They take down the Flag Smashers, John Walker makes himself a new shield, and Zemo is arrested by Wakanda. But Sam's real accomplishment is telling off the man.
You've got to do better, Senator. You've got to step up.
And John Walker is recruited by the CIA director, Val, to join a new team that she's putting together.
We're gonna need a U.S. agent.
So the world governments are still figuring out everything post-blip. Meanwhile, in Jersey City, a young woman named Kamala Khan finds her great-grandmother's bangle. Now, this is not just any bangle. I've got to rewind here for a second. Her great-grandmother was actually a being called a djinn from another dimension, and she was exiled to our dimension with a few other djinn. One of these djinn killed her great-grandmother, but this bangle was then passed down for years until Kamala inherited it, and it also gives her superpowers. Kamala is a huge fan of Carol Danvers. She even cosplays as her. So, with a little help from her friend Bruno, she creates her own superhero identity. She even discovers that the bangle gives her the ability to travel through time, and she actually goes back in time to save her grandmother's life during the partition of India and Pakistan. Kamala convinces the djinn to basically just go away. It's a pretty sloppy ending to that storyline. The most important thing to know about Kamala is that she is a normal teenager who lives in a fairly strict religious household. Her best friend Bruno is a science whiz who makes gadgets for her, and eventually Kamala's parents discover her double life and they help her to create a new costume that honors her Pakistani heritage, and her dad gives her a superhero name,
Miss Marvel.
Kamala also falls for the son of one of the djinn, a dreamboat named Kamran.
What does that mean?
Damn! Like Kamala, he develops powers, but he has trouble controlling them. So, Damage Control tries to apprehend Kamran and Kamala using the same drones that they confiscated from Tony Stark. Kamala helps Kamran control his powers, and Damage Control is humiliated after overextending their reach.
You went against my orders publicly, and then you attacked a bunch of kids using our name.
And while all of this is going on, the structure of power in the MCU has changed. King T'Challa revealed Wakanda's vibranium capabilities to the world, causing several nations to become jealous and even plotting to steal Wakandan tech. Then T'Challa passes away from a mysterious illness, leaving a power vacuum. America's search for vibranium makes them encounter a kingdom of underwater people called the Talokan, led by a superpowered mutant named
Namor.
Namor tries to make an alliance with Wakanda, warning them that the rest of the world will someday attack both nations for their vibranium. When Shuri refuses to join him, he kills her mother, Queen Ramonda. This enrages Shuri. She vows revenge, and then she's finally able to synthesize the heart-shaped herb that gives the Black Panther their power, and she becomes the new Black Panther. Now, while all this is going on, Agent Ross is feeding the Wakanda Wakandans information about Namor, Talokan, and what the US government plans to do next. Ross at this point still works for the CIA. Now he says he's helping them because he owes them his life. He even finds out that the President of the United States wants to promote regime change in Wakanda.
The President wants to take offensive action against Wakanda.
But Ross's ex-wife, CIA Director Val, remember her from earlier, she's been setting him up. She's been monitoring all of his communications with the Wakandans and she has him arrested. Meanwhile, back to Wakanda versus Talokan. Shuri works with a super genius kid named Riri to set a trap for Namor, and she also builds a special armor for two former Dora Milaje, Anika and Okoye, and they call themselves the Midnight Angels. So Wakanda goes to war with Talokan, and just when all seems lost, Shuri defeats Namor in battle and they make a truce. However, Shuri decides not to seek the throne of Wakanda, instead handing it over to our friend M'Baku, and the Midnight Angels spring Ross from prison.
The colonizer in chains. Now I have seen everything.
Funny. And now, Ross is on the run for the show's Secret Invasion. So this show adapts the incredible crossover event from Marvel Comics, where Nick Fury and the superheroes have to stop a Skrull invasion that has been planned behind the scenes for decades. And before we go, everybody, just a reminder to get your AG1 drink, be sure to click our link in the description below to get 5 travel packs and the immune-supporting D3 plus K2. Let us know what you think of all this down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.